Time to talk AFL, and the man who's been doing it for TheInformer all year is Alex Caiafa, and he joins us again. You and I have been talking about a story revolving around the Collingwood Football Club and its leadership. In fact, you managed to score a coup, I thought, when you got David Galbally up, and that was a terrific opportunity to hear from someone who's been with the club for a lifetime. In fact, his parents have been part of the Collingwood fabric. And he said, magic job by Eddie McGuire, but 22 years is just, no one deserves to be at any organisation, even Prime Ministership for that matter, for that length of time, because other things happen around it. So Eddie's gone. What happens next? Here's the big question. For all the Collingwood fans, is it a case of Mr. Corder steps up, the number two, the Vice President, or is there someone new who's circling, ready to put his hand up and make a play at taking over one of the biggest clubs in the country? You'd
like to think it's Mark Corder being the Vice President, and a lot of the times football clubs do tend to go the way of the Vice President becoming the eventual President, but it's a sticky situation. He's still got this year, so I'm sure it'll be plenty of talk as the year goes on. At the moment, you'd like to think Corder's the favourite, but again, that remains to be seen, and we'll find out more as 2021 goes on.
So what happens to Eddie now? I mean, loose goose, you don't know what's happening. Is he talking politics? Is there a bigger position in the AFL maybe that he might be a prime candidate for? Have you heard anything?
I haven't really heard much, but wouldn't it be funny if Gil McLachlan steps down and all of a sudden Mr. Eddie McGuire comes and takes his position? It would be quite the story if that was to happen.
That would be quite the story, you're right. But there's also an awful lot of talk with his brother being in politics. It may well be an opportunity for go not just to state politics, but to go federal and maybe look at becoming Prime Minister of Australia. Can you imagine?
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, it would be something for a young boy.
We've had a president of Collingwood for the last, soon to be 23 years.
Yeah.
Heads in to be the Prime Minister of Australia.
Wow.
That would be something big.
Yeah. Look, it's a remarkable story, and well done for getting David Galbally to talk about something as important as that for one of the biggest clubs in the country. And he talked a great deal about the tremendous work that McGuire and his administration have performed, and the kudos that he was extending. He was just saying, it's for anybody, it's just been too long, but the time's right now, and it's on. The succession plan, let's find out how it goes.
I don't think when David Galbally came on, he wasn't criticising Eddie McGuire to say he's done a terrible job. He's actually done a fantastic job for the Collingwood Football Club. He's brought them from the bottom to basically the top in his time there, and he's been amazing. But as we said from the start, all things must come to an end at some point, and
but he leaves the football club a lot better than when he found it.
He does.
And that's an enormous credit. You and I talked a little while ago about the draft, didn't we?
Yep.
And I mentioned there's a guy called Tyson Goldsack everyone was talking about. You said, he may well be in the mix. Lord knows, look what happened. Tell us.
We've been reporting it over the last 2 weeks.
This is the ex-Collingwood player.
Yeah, this ex-Collingwood player, Tyson Goldsack. We've been reporting it for the last couple of weeks that there was a potential comeback on the cards, and Port Adelaide were interested. Well, they've picked him up. We picked 16 in the rookie draft, and he's a Port Adelaide player, and he's out of retirement again. So that's a fair coup. It just brings a bit more experience to that back line. Another premiership player that can help Port Adelaide just push to that next level. And
he's been away long enough now for his body to be strong and in that conditioning that made him one of the most potent players in the league, let alone at the Collingwood Football Club.
Well, in 2018, he did tear his ACL and came back to play the final series after 6 months off, which is, it's unheard of a lot of the time. I've done ACLs myself, so I know it's tough to come back from 6 months. He did a tremendous job to come back. Having that year almost...
We're talking elite.
Yeah, exactly, elite sports. And having that year, almost 2 years off, get the knee right, he should be raring to go.
And confidence, yeah. It's a big pickup, you're right. The AFL now talking about, back to normal. We still don't know what normal is, but the AFL says back to 20-minute quarters.
Yeah, it'll be good to see football back to 20 minutes.
Did it really change the game that much?
It did. The scoring was obviously a lot lower due to the shorter quarters, and with the ability of interchanges, you were able to do a few more and stuff like that. Now interchanges have been capped, as well as going back to 20 minutes. We could start to see the fitness side of football come back into it again, so we might see some fatigue late in games.
Well, it's been part of the game.
Yeah.
I always thought, we used to hear when I first started following the game, that the championship quarter was the third quarter. That's when good teams started to make their headway, because they'd finally work you out and get you over the line, and they'd pull away in the fourth quarter. Yeah. Well, we were not seeing it with 400 replacements or interchange conversion movements. The game was being bastardised, which, for those traditionalists, and I was one of those, I hated it. I just think what I really, really hated was watching 10 young players running around and holding down a Chris Judd. All the stars were being brought almost down to being normal, and that's not right. But they were doing it artificially. Yeah. If they were doing it player on player, I have no problem. But, running 5 players around a star just to exhaust them, that was never the spirit of the game. AFLW. Getting bigger and bigger and bigger. More teams playing. When does it start?
That starts on the 28th of January, and actually looking quite forward to it. First year that tickets are actually being sold, so there'll actually be some revenue coming into the AFL women now, which is really good for them. And the competition's just growing and growing as each year goes on, and it's going to be an exciting time in the lead up to the AFL men's. And
with each iteration or each generation of players in competition, they're going to get better.
Yeah. I mean, especially they're coming in from juniors now and actually going through the correct pathways like the men's footballers do. So we're going to see, as the years goes on, just the talent go up and up and up. So it's good. We'll
talk some more about that. Alex Caiafa joining us for the latest on the AFL. Big draft has come and gone. The big news, of course, Eddie stepped down from the Collingwood Football Club. Where to next for Eddie? But for Alex Caiafa, he'll join us again in the new season, 2021, to talk about AFL and what comes next. Thank you, mate.
Thanks, George.